Crypto Rocker, what's going on, guys? Today is March 15th, and I'm here with Lewis Gruber. We're doing an interview. We're talking about Aionios. And Lewis, say hello.
Hi, it's Lewis.
All right. So we finally got Lewis here. I'm very excited, and I'm very excited to hear some information about what's going on with Aionios. So I know from doing my previous video, and I have some little notes here, but we're talking about sunset cells, which is like the process of aging and age-related disease. Am I correct with that, Lewis?
Yes, we're
Okay.
talking about senescent cells.
Okay. Well, hey, please, you have the microphone. Give us a little background on who you are and explain to us a little bit about what Aionios is trying to do, if you don't mind.
Sure, and I am a cell biologist who's been working in the biotech industry for now 30 years, 40 years. But one of my research interests was aging, and in pursuing that interest, I came upon the fact that senescent cells interfere with the body's normal processes. And by doing so, they actually affect aging. Aging is a process that occurs by accumulating damage throughout our lives, in particular oxidative damage, damage from oxygen binding where it shouldn't bind, and causing damage to cells. But once those cells get damaged, they go into a state that's called senescence, and that state causes them to begin to produce substances that interfere with the normal processes of the body that would otherwise keep us young forever.
Wow, that's quite interesting and fascinating. Now, Crypto Rocker, I do a YouTube show, and we talk about different coins and different things, and I like to try to keep it simple for my audience and for anybody that's watching this. But to simply put it, are you sort of saying that you're trying to dabble with discovering a bit of the fountain of youth, or would you not even want to say that?
Well, I certainly am trying to figure out how we can reverse or retard aging. And from the work that we've done so far, it looks to me as though looking at senescent cells is the key to being able to both stop the continuing process of aging, but also even to reverse some of its bad effects.
Okay, that's quite amazing, if you ask me. Now, I had some questions. I mean, these are just my thoughts that I was thinking of. But when you're measuring these, I heard that you could actually do like a swab, or you swab the side of your cheek to do your data analysis. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to develop the tests that will enable us to be able to, in the future, determine these amounts of dead cells, right? Is that kind of correct?
Amounts of senescent cells, yes. I should mention they are not really dead. They are what are sometimes called dysfunctional.
Okay.
Scientific American once wrote an article calling them zombie cells. So they're not dead, but they're doing bad things.
Okay. Well,
Go ahead.
Lewis, my question would be, you may not be able to answer this, but let's say you were to swab maybe a child's cheek, and then maybe somebody that's a little bit older like myself, would you happen to find that there's going to be maybe more of these zombie cells in an older person, or do you typically, how does that generally work?
Yes. Research over a number of years has shown that with increasing age, you get an increasing proportion of these zombie cells.
Okay.
And so if you did a baby and your cheek the baby should have fewer of these zombie cells.
Okay.
Not necessarily zero, but a lot fewer, and you should have more.
Right. And then my other question is, being an adult and experiencing life, recently, maybe going through a divorce to somebody, would you find there would be like maybe a exponential amount of these cells in somebody that's kind of going through a time in their life that might be a crisis or things like that?
Yes, that's possible because formation of these cells is stimulated by all sorts of stress, including hormonal stress that could be occasioned by stressful situations in life.
Okay. Now, how far in the development process are you? I mean, are you even willing to take people's samples yet for testing, or are you guys still developing this?
Well, we're almost ready to take people's samples, but what we've done is to line up the facilities, the accredited facilities that are going to be doing the testing. Okay. And we have a research institute finalizing the protocol that the testing facility will use. But that's basically where we're at. So we wouldn't really want to take in a sample today, but we're close.
Well, that's fantastic. And of course, I'm offering my sample to you. I'm quite interested in this, so if it ever happens, that would be interesting. I wouldn't mind.
We'll put you on the list.
That's great. So also, now this whole process and concept that we're trying to do, you're looking to make this into a cryptocurrency, right?
Yes.
Okay. And we're looking to do this under the Sky Ledger protocol. Is that correct?
Yes.
That's fantastic. So basically what we have to look forward to is anybody watching this interview today, March 15th, 2018, we are in the beginning stages of this. And this is something that we all really need to keep an eye on, because not only is this very fascinating, and like we said, this could be the coming closer to finding the fountain of youth, but this is research that everybody is going to want to participate or be involved with in one way or another if you're interested in aging or these cells that you call zombie cells, and being able to determine. Now, another thing that I was researching when I was checking your information out is that some of the research is actually going to be able to combat ways of finding out prevention for like heart disease and inflammation. Am I hearing that correct?
Well, that's yes, why we're gathering this information, because previous research has shown these zombie cells to be associated with a wide variety of diseases, including the ones you mentioned.
Yeah.
And not just in elderly people, because stress occurs throughout life. If cells are stressed, they become senescent or zombified. And by doing that, they start to malfunction and produce all sorts of bad consequences. So throughout life, we're expecting to see the effects of stress or damage and disease as something that these cells are involved with, and could be reversed by getting rid of these cells.
Right. And of course, you don't need to go through a divorce or anything heavy like that. Just everything simple as, everybody involved in the crypto markets right now. I know the markets are kind of down, so people are getting a little stressed out from that, I'm sure. So this can affect everybody in everyday life, not just big crises, and also just, aging. So, Lewis, can you just give me a little bit more summary before we get going about what you're trying to do and the future and what we can expect in the next coming months?
Well, as I say, we are setting up the tests now and getting the kits ready to be able to send them out to people so that they can take samples of cells and send them to us. When we get to that point, they will be able to send us the samples and we can process them for counting the senescent cells in the samples. By doing that, we'll be able to see what proportion there is and how that relates to other information about the people, like their age, or perhaps in the case of skin cells, exposure to sun, for example.
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure where you're located, but are you in Finland? Or?
I am. Currently, we are in northern Finland.
Anywhere near Oulu?
Cameraman, are we anywhere near Google?
Oulu.
Oh, Oulu. We're actually in Oulu. I'm in Oulu right now.
I asked that because with a previous company, I gave a talk in Oulu.
Okay.
In the middle of winter, and it was even with that climatic difficulty, it was still a great place to visit. So it's nice to know I'm seeing Oulu live.
It is nice, and I'm here because my daughter's here, so that's a very good reason for me to be here. But speaking of sunlight, of course, this is one place that you could be on certain times of the year where there's not much sunlight, and there's
exactly.
So, and I've actually, being from Philadelphia, where I'm from, this big change for me and having depletion of whatever vitamins that the sun gives you, I've noticed that it's affected me somewhat.
Yes. And that can affect you, although you have the positive benefit possibly of less ultraviolet exposure.
Yes.
So less damage